Is this gonna? Okay. Brian always has these like clever, catchy, whatever from the internet pictures. So I was trying to channel that spirit. And we're not quite halfway there, but by the lunchtime, we'll be on the halfway point, climbing up our little roller coaster and then trying to get some momentum and get ourselves back down. So good to see everyone. It's always, these are long days, but I think lots of important things are happening, as we're all too well aware. To put up the aims again, we've got advocacy, knowledge, networking, advancement, and consensus. And so, all of these lovely tea breaks where we're dragging you back in from your nice conversations, so much work is happening in the in-between spaces. And I think Prof. Muller yesterday had sort of the 3 goals of listening actively, collaborating interactively, and acting boldly, which was really nice reminder for all of us. And just to recap, yesterday in the morning we had the ESP session where we heard from Korea about using big data to address gaps in knowledge, from the WHO about the importance of social protection programs. Graham was telling us about working models to try to investigate and address some of these large challenges that we have to enhance our knowledge in this space. In the PTLD group, Greg opened up really describing the enormous burden of post-TB lung disease that we're up against, highlighting that adolescents and many others have just a fraction of their expected lung function as TB survivors. Jerry talked to us about the review where only 7 high-burden countries had guidelines that incorporated end-of-treatment and post-treatment recommendations on management, so emphasizing all the work that there is to do. Grant talked about the challenges of recurrence, and then Jotum talked about how we need to think not just about the bug, but also the drug and the, depending on where you're from, the Z or the Z score. And then in the NMS session, we heard any number of really incredibly compelling and powerful vignettes about the many impacts of TB meningitis, physiologic, social, psychological, and more, that TBM sequelae in kids and adolescents, staggering $35,000 in average costs in Senegal, which is just mind-boggling. And then a nice outline of priorities in the field. In the PED session, I think as someone who does not, who deals with my own children on a daily basis, but in the medical setting, actively am afraid of those little people, to not forget about the kids, and that we can't think of them as just small adults. They really are, in so many ways, very unique populations. And I think the survivor video in particular, emphasizing that we can't give up, si se puede. All right, and then Ant certainly brought us together with a really nice overview of treatable traits and how we want to bring that concept into the post-TB space. More on that today. We had great working group sessions in the afternoon, and then a really nice, I think, end-of-day discussion around the research definition for post-TB lung disease, trying to get some consensus in the field about how we can all be sure we're talking about the same thing and sort of publishing the same space, even if we have our many different studies, that we're reporting things in a consistent way. All right, so that was yesterday. That's why it's like a roller coaster, right? So this morning, in just a minute, we'll hear 2 short presentations on the 2 sites that have put in bids to be potential venues for the next post-TB symposium. From Seoul, South Korea, and then here again in Stellenbosch. After that, our morning plenary sessions, opening with the patient perspectives, and then the pathogenesis group, cardio and pulmonary vascular disease, followed by the all-important tea break. The second morning session, we'll hear about advocacy and policy engagement, EPI toolkits, something we probably all want to learn a little bit more about how we can be doing these things better, and then the management side of post-TB lung disease. And then lunch, and then in the afternoon, more workshops, cardio and pulmonary vascular. Here in the auditorium, pediatrics will be over in Manor House, tea break, and then coming back again together as a group to do the treatable traits next process in the Delphi. It's a long day today, so once the treatable traits wraps up, we'll do a quick, yet another QR code, but this one will be voting for IPTS, the fourth TB Symposium, venue, steering committee, and when it should happen. I'll emphasize that the votes that we're doing are intended to be sort of non-binding, where the steering committee will use the voting process of the group as one important factor in trying to figure out where things might happen for the next time around. The group photo, which if I don't emphasize many, many times throughout the day, I will be berated heavily. And then after the group photo, we'll stay outside, have some lovely sips and snacks, then move inside for the poster session. And I'll tell more about the poster session before it, but don't want to overwhelm people with the very creative ways we have to engage people. So more on that later. And then we've got a lovely band coming to regale us with music as we have some more snacks and sips and munches and mingle. And with that, as I said, we'll be hearing about the fourth, a site for the fourth International Post-TB Symposium, first Seoul and then Stellenbosch. Nominations for the next steering committee are due by 12 p.m. today because we have to have time to go over the results so that we can vote at 5 p.m. today. So while Hojun is coming up, and if anyone needs the QR codes, I think they're also on the walls in the back. But with that, I'll hand it over to Hojun to tell us all about Seoul.
Good morning. I hope you had a great day. It's hard to beat Stellenbosch, but I will do my best to show what Korea can offer for our next venue. This also feels like Olympic hosting. So we are aiming for a similar time with considerations that there are a lot of competing conferences around October. Fall is beautiful, especially beautiful in Korea, but April, May is also, springtime is really beautiful in South Korea, as you can see some of the backdrops of the palaces and the venues. And some of you have come to the symposium that I hosted last year. And Seoul is a very dynamic city with multicultural capacity and also very Korean traditional heritage. So another rationale for Korea to be hosting is that we have had a significant TB burden and we've been so successful, in my opinion. A lot of the message that internally we've been sending to promote TB is negative, right? That we are in the OECD country, affluent country, but we're suffering from TB and we're dead less amongst the OECD country. But I think the message should be the other way around. Korea has done really great job in controlling TB, and we have a lot of messages to send to other countries, all the great things that we've done, but also all the difficult challenges that are left over due to fast development of TB control efforts that we're having difficulties to deal with. In human resource, all the research expertise, they're declining because of TB patient numbers are declining. Less funding for TB, but this is being rejuvenated as Korea wants to share our knowledge and also our expertise to the global community. And hosting next our post-TB symposium in Korea will help us to promote the idea of how Korea can contribute to the world going forward, and having all of you come to Korea with your enthusiasm can show our people the global commitment to fight for TB, and Korea has a great place in that seat. Let me talk briefly about the venue. I've been fortunate to have been appointed as associate professor tenure track at Seoul National University, which is the top school in South Korea. And we have a really important, large-scale facilities to host these type of international symposium. And the Seoul National University campus has medical campus in the more historical part, but the main campus is the southern part of south of the Han River. If you heard Gangnam, Gangnam means south of the river. So it's not Gangnam in the affluent area, but it's in the Gwanak Mountains. So it's actually the campus is located on the mountain side. So it's very interesting, walkable. We have beautiful sceneries, as you can see. This is the famous Sha Gate. It's the symbol of our university. And many people come here wishing to be admitted to the school. The venue I'm proposing to be hosted is at the Seoul National University Faculty Center. It's Hoam Faculty Center, which was funded through the Samsung, the company, and the main Samsung, the founder, his name, there's a side character name that uses his Hoam. And this consists of large venues like this, which has capacity to hold about 300 to 400 people in the same room. So the room size is about 1.5 times larger than this. And then there are also breakout rooms that we can rent to host smaller group sessions, which I think have been a little bit of challenge, but because our symposium have grown over the years. And then there are additional breakout rooms to have more focused discussions of subgroups and so on and within this facility. Another advantage is that we have on-site accommodation, about 160 rooms that can be booked. And it's important for us to secure this about a year and a half in advance so that we can have exclusive access and reservation to the facility. The other advantage is that Seoul is accessible through Incheon International Airport, which has a direct bus right on the bus stop, as there's a bus stop right on the facility. So it's easy to access the facility from when you arrive from the international flights. Seoul International Airport, the Incheon Airport, has many, many direct flights. I did a quick search before I came here. The April flight cost is within $1,500 range. From many different countries. It's a relatively short distance, and the fact that we're in Asia, we are hoping for Asian participations to increase in the next venue. This is an overall funding. As Hongju mentioned, Hongju and I and other colleagues, we have been working really hard to secure funding to host, but also to do a lot of more post-TB research. So we've applied for two big funding. One funding has been secured. The other funding, we just got a notice to present for next round of selection. There are other conference supports through National Research Foundation. Through this committee, we've explored Art13, and also within our school and Korea University and other faculty have access to host international conference fees. There are the registration fees. We have NGOs and companies to potentially sponsor. All of these expenses will pay for the conference venue as well as providing travel support and scholarships, and especially also to have continent representatives of the TB survivors. Korea is very visa-friendly country. Amongst all the red dots, we are green. We have visa-free for many countries. Applying for visa is relatively easy. Once we set up the conference committee, the letter can be served to have you apply for 30-day to 60-day visa that can be applied at embassy if the KETA option is not available. Our faculty have a number of experiences hosting international symposiums and conferences, but one of the these are the 6 advantages that you could remember. We want more Asian participation, relative easy access location, new environment, new networks, and new opportunities, I think, for TB research can be garnered through hosting at another site. We have an integrated venue with accommodation access, diverse cultural and culinary experience you can imagine coming to Korea. And we have had a lot of organized plans to host these experiences. So I hope if we have a big competition with Stellenbosch. I know you are very comfortable with this, and I'm very comfortable with this. And it's hard to compete against this environment, but I hope you take a little bit of extra step and vote for us for the next venue. Thank you.
So thanks, Soo-Jun. To be honest, it's actually I'm really excited to go to South Korea. So it's really difficult to stand here. And despite Brian and myself stepping down of organizing this, we also feel really strongly that Stellenbosch is the place where this post-TB symposium started, where there's a lot of capacity. where there's access easy. So we feel that it should be an option for you to vote on. But like I said, it's a very conflicted situation. So our bid for the fourth Post-TB Symposium, you all are very well known with this location. And although I had to ask Becky, we grew out of burst out of the seams here. So it seems like this venue is going to be too small for the next symposium. If it continues like this, there's many facilities here in Stellenbosch with beautiful surroundings, with wineries, with beautiful eateries. It's still close to the airport. There's lots of accommodation, and it's really safe to be here. If we think about the timing, we thought about this many times already in the previous occasions, and the weather is generally good. It's pretty warm during the days, the evenings are cooler. It's off-peak of the travel season. It aligns with a lot of the other, it actually falls within other conferences, so that there's no conflict, and it allows time to organize and get fundraising for the coordination again. If we think about access, many African countries have visa-free entry or visa on arrival, and we've given visa letters. I haven't really received any feedback from people that were not able to attend the symposium if they wanted to, because of visa access. We have affordable accommodation and living expenses, and I wanted to actually put the rand exchange rate down here, but I thought it's too depressing to have a look at. But I guess most of you are really happy to be here, have a cup of coffee here, and have an excellent meal for a really reasonable price. The flights into Cape Town are relatively accessible with a short transfer to Stellenbosch. And Stellenbosch, like I said, is safe. You can walk around, and there's really, a really nice atmosphere here. That's my personal opinion. So although we don't really have grants committed yet, we've shown that we've been able to get it. Although this year was a bit challenging with all our scholarships and some of the funding being pulled, so really our apologies for that, but that's something that you live and you learn, and the idea is, of course, to continue working on that. We've got good relations with some trade and sponsorship. We've got an excellent conference organizer, thanks Lauren, and we would be able to really build on that again. We've shown that we can actually give an entrance, or the registration fees are generally low. So if you think about it, it's including meal. And I think that's really shown again the feasibility of organizing it here and keeping it relatively accessible for all the delegates. And then lastly, if we think about impact and influence, South Africa is a high TB burden country, and post-TB is really relevant to the setting as well. It builds on the momentum that we've created in the first, the second, and the third symposium. And we've had a really good support from Stellenbosch University, including this beautiful, accessible venue, but also the strong academic infrastructure and the community partnerships that we have here. I think Stellenbosch University or Stellenbosch as a site is still a place to consider. So thank you for your consideration.
All right, thanks to you both. It's so exciting to hear these many options, all of which are so appealing. So tough decisions later today when we vote. In the meantime, we'll keep trying to figure out the elephant, build the proverbial Parthenon. And I think as I was trying to, again, come up with some sort of like catchy visual channeling, I really, we've got all of these different groups that we all live in our little worlds working on. But I think when we come together like this, we appreciate that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And all of us can probably have greater impact as we are aware of these other aspects of post-TB sequelae, and speaking to colleagues and having these connections. You're working on a project and you add on an extra instrument that's related to post-TB mental health or that's related to cost effectiveness. And so hopefully all of that will help us to, again, build it all up a little bit better. In the US, there was a lot of memes around how January was a really tough year for us, but we made it. And so I think all of us, global health is going to have some growing pains in the next few years, but I think we can do it. And coming together, colleagues like this, it's really energizing for all of us. And I think hopefully gives us all that burst of energy to move forward and move ahead. And that's it. I think now one of the highlights always for me of this meeting is having the survivor voices front and center. So I know we have a video. All right, I'll turn it over.
ចាសូមជម្រាបសួរអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នានាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះវ៉ាន់លីដាគឺជាអតីតអ្នកដែលរងផលប៉ះពាល់ដោយសារជំងឺរបេងហើយបច្ចុប្បន្នគឺជាប្រធានសមាគមបណ្ដាញអ្នកជំងឺរបេងប្រចាំនៅកម្ពុជាគ្រួសាររបស់នាងខ្ញុំក្នុងចំណោមគ្រួសាររបស់នាងខ្ញុំគឺមានអ្នកធ្លាប់ព្យាបាលជំងឺរបេងដល់ទៅ5នាក់ចាហើយយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាគឺសុទ្ធសឹងតែជាអ្នកដែលរងផលប៉ះពាល់ដោយសារជំងឺរបេងដោយសារតែពីមុនមកគឺមានពុករបស់ខ្ញុំគាត់បានឆ្លងជំងឺរបេងហើយត្រូវបានជាបាលនៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យបង្អែកស្រុកស្អាតដោយសារតែគាត់មានអាការៈធ្ងន់ធ្ងរគាត់ព្យាបាលរបេងហ្នឹងគឺគាត់ត្រូវទៅសម្រាប់ព្យាបាលនៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យដោយអត់មានអ្នកណាមើលថែគាត់ទេគឺគាត់ទៅសម្រាប់ពេទ្យតាមអ្នកឯងហើយដោយសារតែនៅក្នុងគ្រួសារគឺមានសមាជិកច្រើនហើយនឹងមានប្អូនដែលនៅតូចអញ្ចឹងម្ដាយរបស់នាងខ្ញុំគឺគាត់បានទៅប្រកបមុខរបរលក់បន្លែនៅផ្សារដើមគោគាត់ត្រូវចេញទៅយប់ផឹកបានគាត់មកវិញហើយពីមុនគឺផ្លូវវាពិបាកខ្លាំងវាអត់ដូចឥឡូវមានផ្លូវកស៊ូមានអីទេគឺផ្លូវពិបាកខ្លាំងអញ្ចឹងការធ្វើដំណើរទៅមកហ្នឹងគឺត្រូវចំណាយពេលយូរហើយខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអំពីការដែលពួកខ្ញុំរងផលប៉ះពាល់ហើយដោយសារគ្រួសារមានជីវភាពខ្វះខាតអញ្ចឹងក៏ធ្វើឲ្យខ្ញុំដែលត្រូវជាកូនស្រីទី5ដែលត្រូវបញ្ចប់ការសិក្សាគឺខ្ញុំបានបោះបង់ការសិក្សាចោលដើម្បីទៅត្រូវជួយមើលប្អូននៅផ្ទះផងជួយធ្វើការជំនួសឪពុកម្ដាយបន្ទាប់មកទៀតពេលដែលឪពុករបស់ខ្ញុំគាត់ព្យាបាលរបេងរួចហើយហ្នឹងគឺគាត់អត់អាចធ្វើការធ្ងន់បានទេគឺគាត់ត្រូវថែទាំសុខភាពនៅផ្ទះទោះបីជាបញ្ចប់ការព្យាបាលក៏ដោយប៉ុន្តែគាត់គឺត្រូវបានថែទាំខ្លួនដូចជាមនុស្សម្នាក់ដែលដូចអត់មានកម្លាំងកំហែងនៅក្នុងការធ្វើការធ្ងន់អីទេអញ្ចឹងគឺគាត់ត្រូវថ្នមខ្លួននៅផ្ទះដោយសារបើសិនជាគាត់ធ្វើការធ្ងន់គឺគាត់នឹងហត់ហើយអាចនឹងធ្លាក់ឈាមទៀតណាពេលដែលខ្ញុំមានគ្រួសារខ្ញុំរៀបការបានមួយឆ្នាំជាងគឺខ្ញុំចាប់ដើមមានកូនហ្នឹងក៏ប្តីខ្ញុំគាត់ចេះតែមានអាការៈក្អកហើយនឹងស្រកគីឡូហើយដូចមានអាការៈថាផ្ដាសាយញឹកញាប់ហើយយើងហូបថ្នាំក៏អត់បាត់ចាក់ថ្នាំនៅពេទ្យឯកជនក៏អត់បាត់ដែរបានតែមួយអន់ទេសង្កេតឃើញប្តីខ្ញុំហ្នឹងចេះតែស្គមទៅហើយក្អកញឹកញាប់គាត់ក៏សួរថាមានអាការៈហ្នឹងយូរនៅហើយខ្ញុំហើយនឹងប្តីខ្ញុំក៏ប្រាប់គាត់ទៅតាមដំណើរហ្នឹងទៅក៏គាត់ប្រាប់ថាឥឡូវគាត់មានសមុទ្រ2ហើយសមុទ្រហ្នឹងគឺសម្រាប់យើងទៅឆែកសុខភាពគឺគេនឹងមកពិនិត្យស្រាវជ្រាវរោគអ្នកដែលមានជំងឺរបេងហើយរោគសញ្ញាដែលមានការក្អកលើសពី2សប្តាហ៍អីហ្នឹងហើយក៏គាត់លើកទឹកចិត្តបន្ថែមទៀតថាឲ្យទៅពិនិត្យសាកមើលចាហើយក៏ប្តីខ្ញុំគាត់ពិភាក្សាមួយខ្ញុំទៅក៏ខ្ញុំជំរុញគាត់ថាទៅពិនិត្យទៅដោយសារឮសូរថាគេពិនិត្យហ្នឹងអត់មានយកលុយយកកាក់អីដែរទេអញ្ចឹងយើងពិនិត្យទៅក៏ល្អដែរចាហើយបន្ទាប់មកក៏ប្តីខ្ញុំពេលដែលដល់ថ្ងៃកំណត់ពេទ្យដែលគាត់ចុះមកស្រាវជ្រាវហ្នឹងក៏គាត់ទៅតាមការណាត់របស់គ្រូពេទ្យ5អញ្ចឹងទៅក៏បានថតសួរហើយនឹងពិនិត្យកំហាក់បន្ទាប់មកទៀតបានថ្ងៃ2ថ្ងៃក៏ខាង LC ដែលគាត់ធ្វើការជាបុគ្គលិកសហគមន៍ក្រោមគម្រោង commit របស់អង្គការខាងណាហ្នឹងគាត់មកប្រាប់ថាប្តីខ្ញុំមានវិជ្ជមានរបេង BK បូកហើយក៏គាត់ណែនាំថាប្រភេទជំងឺរបស់ប្តីខ្ញុំវាអាចនឹងឆ្លងទៅដល់អ្នកដទៃអញ្ចឹងទៅក៏ណែនាំអំពីការពារការអីអញ្ចឹងទៅហើយ លើកទឹកចិត្តពួកខ្ញុំឲ្យទៅទទួលការព្យាបាលនៅមណ្ឌលសុខភាពបន្ទាប់ពីគាត់បានបើកថ្នាំយកមកហូបហ្នឹងគឺមានហូបដំបងធ្វើទុកតែដោយសារគាត់នៅក្មេងសុខភាពគាត់នៅរៀងមាំតំដែរអញ្ចឹងគាត់អត់ធ្វើទុកខ្លាំងទេគ្រាន់ថាហូបបាយអត់ឆ្ងាញ់រៀងវិលមុខលះលះហើយអីខ្លះហើយសាកមាត់សាកកអញ្ចឹងទៅតែពេលខ្លះក៏គាត់ងឹតមុខធ្វើការអត់កើតដែរក៏គាត់ចេះតែបន្តចេះតែខ្ញុំអីចេះតែលើកទឹកចិត្តគាត់ដោយសារយើងមានឪពុកដែលគាត់ព្យាបាលបានជោគជ័យអញ្ចឹងក៏លើកទឹកចិត្តគាត់ឲ្យគាត់ខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងហូបថ្នាំហ្នឹងកុំឲ្យគាត់បោះបង់ចាដល់ពេលគាត់ព្យាបាលបាន6ខែហ្នឹងក៏ពេទ្យថាគាត់ជាឲ្យគាត់អត់អីទេគាត់បានអន់ប្រសើរឡើងជាងមុនរយៈពេល6ខែហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែបន្ទាប់ពីមួយឆ្នាំក្រោយមកគាត់លាប់ឡើងវិញទៀតក៏យើងចាប់ផ្ដើមព្យាបាលម្ដងទៀតហើយព្យាបាលចាប់ជាលើកទី2ហើយបន្ទាប់មកទៀតក៏យើងស្ម័គ្រចិត្តក្នុងការជួយផ្សព្វផ្សាយបន្តទៅដល់សហគមន៍ហ្នឹងដោយសារគេចង់ឲ្យអ្នកជំងឺហ្នឹងជួយផ្សព្វផ្សាយបន្តទៅដល់សហគមន៍ដើម្បីឲ្យសហគមន៍យើងហ្នឹងគាត់បានដឹងអំពីជំងឺរបេងហើយគាត់អាចទៅរកសេវានៅពេលដែលគាត់សង្ស័យថាមានរបេងចាហើយនិយាយទៅដល់កូនខ្ញុំបន្ទាប់ពីគាត់មានអាយុ2ខួបក៏គាត់ចាប់ផ្ដើមមានអាការៈចេញកូនកដោពេញកអញ្ចឹងក៏ពួកខ្ញុំយកទៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យទៀតគឺយើងពេទ្យបណ្ឌិតគាត់ទៅក៏ពេទ្យប្រាប់ថាគាត់មានរបេងដែរតែរបេងកូនកដុលគឺគាត់អត់ឆ្លងទេគ្រាន់ថាគាត់ត្រូវតែព្យាបាលដូចគ្នាហើយខ្ញុំក៏យកកូនខ្ញុំទៅព្យាបាលរបេងកូនកដុលហ្នឹងនៅមណ្ឌលសុខភាពហើយគាត់ព្យាបាលរយៈពេល6ខែដែរឥឡូវនេះគឺគាត់មានសុខភាពធម្មតាទេអត់អីទេឥឡូវគាត់បានជាដែរហើយនៅបន្ទាប់មកទៀតក៏បានបងប្អូនខ្ញុំម្នាក់ដែលគាត់ត្រឡប់មកពីធ្វើការនៅឯប្រទេសកូរ៉េហ្នឹងក៏គាត់មកផ្ទះបានមួយឆ្នាំគាត់ចេះតែក្អកខ្លាំងអត់ហូបថ្នាំអត់បាត់អត់អីចឹងទៅក៏បងប្រុសខ្ញុំណែនាំគាត់ឲ្យគាត់ទៅពិនិត្យសុខភាពនៅមណ្ឌលទៀតអញ្ចឹងក៏ខ្ញុំតាក់ទងខាង LC ឲ្យគាត់ជួយបញ្ជូនបងប្រុសខ្ញុំទៅពិនិត្យមួយទៀតក៏ឃើញវិជ្ជមានរបេងដែរតែបេការដកហើយឥឡូវនេះក៏គាត់បញ្ចប់ការព្យាបាលដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់ចូលរួមលុបបំបាត់ជំងឺរបេងអញ្ចឹងក៏ខ្ញុំស្ម័គ្រចិត្តធ្វើជាអ្នកតំណាងបានន័យថាប្រធានក្រុមគ្រប់គ្រងមិត្តយើងហ្នឹងក៏ខ្ញុំធ្វើចាប់ផ្ដើមធ្វើការដំបូងហ្នឹងព្យាយាមស្វែងយល់អំពីអ្នកសហគមន៍យើងថាតើនៅមានចំណុចខ្វះខាតអីហើយមើលទៅអ្នកខ្លះគាត់អត់ដឹងទេថាជំងឺរបេងហ្នឹងវាមានអាការៈយ៉ាងម៉េចហើយគាត់ទៅរកសេវាហ្នឹងនៅឯណាអញ្ចឹងក៏ខ្ញុំព្យាយាមផ្សព្វផ្សាយនៅក្នុងសហគមន៍ខ្ញុំដល់ពេលនោះជួនកាលខ្ញុំជួយបញ្ជូនអ្នកជំងឺដែលគាត់សង្ស័យថាមានរបេងហ្នឹងដែលគាត់អត់បានដឹងព័ត៌មានច្បាស់ហ្នឹងគឺខ្ញុំប្រមូលពួកគាត់នៅក្នុងសហគមន៍ហ្នឹងដឹកផាសស្អាតដោយសារគ្រួសារខ្ញុំមានផាសស្អាតស្រាប់អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំដឹកទៅម្ដង 4-10 នាក់ដើម្បីជួយសម្រួលដល់ការចំណាយរបស់គាត់អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំតំណងជាមួយនឹង LC ហ្នឹងក៏បានដឹកអ្នកជំងឺដែលសង្ស័យទៅពិនិត្យរោគជំងឺរបេងហើយពេលដែលដឹកទៅហ្នឹងក៏ពួកគាត់ជូនលុយដែរតែខ្ញុំអត់យកទេដោយសារខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យពួកគាត់រួមចំណែកដើម្បីព្យាបាលឬក៏ទៅធ្វើរោគវិនិច្ឆ័យហ្នឹងឲ្យបានទាន់ពេលវេលាសូមលើកទឹកចិត្តអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាថាបើសិនជាមានអាការៈសង្ស័យហើយសូមប្រញាប់ទៅមណ្ឌលសុខភាពដើម្បីព្យាបាលរបេងឲ្យទាន់ពេលវេលាហើយយើងនឹងជាសះស្បើយទាំងអស់គ្នាដោយសារជំងឺរបេងគឺបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះព្យាបាលអត់អស់លុយទេសូមអញ្ជើញទៅធ្វើតែរោគជំងឺរបេងនៅទាន់ពេលវេលាដើម្បីជាសះស្បើយទាំងអស់គ្នាកុំឲ្យមានការចម្លងទៅដល់សហគមន៍និងក្មេងជំនាន់ក្រោយតទៅទៀតចា៎សូមអរគុណ
And then I think if Busibeko can come and introduce our next speaker.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Busisiwe. You can call me Busibeko. I'm a dear TB survivor. I'm here today to introduce the TB survivor, the real TB survivor, that is Noncedo Kulwa, who has been like having TB for several episodes. I think 8 if I'm not mistaken. So, Batate Noncedo.
I'm short. Yeah. Morning, everyone. My name is Noncedo. My surname is Kulwa. I'm from Khayelitsha. I stay in Khayelitsha. I do my shopping in Khayelitsha. I go to church in Khayelitsha. I work in Khayelitsha. Whatever I do is around Khayelitsha. Yeah. I have been fighting in and out with TB for 8 times. The worst scenario was 2020 when I lost my mother, who was the one who was looking after me. And my health has never been so easy. I started to have a TB, pulmonary TB, in 2005. But while I was still in TB treatment, the doctor decided to change and said I have a meningitis. So I take the treatment from 2005, and after 3 months, 4 months, they said I have a meningitis, so I had to change the TB treatment. And I defaulted. Then 2006, I started another treatment again. That was TB meningitis again. 2008 and 2010, I had a pulmonary TB. 2013 and 2015, I had meningitis. In 2015, I had a pulmonary TB. 2020, when I lost my mother, I felt everything has collapsed in my life because she was my strength, my go-getter, the one person that I know I can lean on. Then 2024, I had a pulmonary TB again, but this time it was different. I thought I had a flu. I was not coughing, but I felt shivering all the time. I was tired. I thought it was work because we were working with caseload. And if you don't reach your target for the day, you have to answer to the management. Then I felt fatigue and I thought it will pass. But when I go to the clinic in June, they gave me antibiotics saying that I have a flu. But I felt that I'm losing the weight. I don't have any TB signs, but I felt like this is TB. When you had a TB once, whenever you have a cold or something, you will learn that, or you will know that I have a TB. I don't know whether it's in our mind or in our system that when you have a TB once or twice, every time you get sick, it will be TB. First, they take the sputum, they say it's negative. They send me to the lab, the sputum to the lab, they came back saying negative. I went for X-ray at KDH, they say it's negative, but I felt that I'm sick. I ended up saying I quit work because I thought maybe it's a workload that is in my shoulders. I remember my mother's not there to carry me in all the way. In October, I couldn't even wake up in the morning. I felt as if my world has collapsed. And I prayed to God saying that, God, if you are taking me, take me today, because I'm done. But I had a husband who was there with me. He decided to take a time out of work and walk with me to the journey to the clinic and ask the doctors what is really happening, because this person is becoming weak each and every day. And I said to him, let's go to the sister in church so that they can do culture in my sputum. because I know I have a TB. Though the symptoms are not there, but this is TB. And sister in charge said I must go back to room 15 where they will do everything, and they did it. The nurse said to me, you keep coming back and ask to do a TB test, but we always tell you that you don't have TB. Maybe you are tired, you need to take time, you need to rest. But I told the nurse, I need to do this. The results came back positive. And the nurse couldn't look at me. She sent me to the counselors. And I told the counselors that I knew I had a TB. But as long as I know now that I have TB, I have to look after myself. Getting sick, no family, no friends, only me and my husband. Remember, by the time I got sick, my son started to be involved in drugs. Then I have to try and work out myself so that he can get help. In 2 months after that, my son went mad because he was on drugs. He doesn't want to wear clothes. He will go in and out in the rain. So we decided to send him to rehab so that I can recover. Not that I want him for anything, but I can recover and understand where I am. I will pray to God each and every day and say, God, I've done it all. I've done it all. I've been sick for a long time now. Take me. You know, God works in other angles. Instead of taking me, he took my brother who was diagnosed of TB in 2023. So I have to be strong for the family because I'm the only one who's working at home. We are 8, but I'm the only one who's looking after the family. My father lives in Eastern Cape. When my father heard that I also have TB, he was worried that I'm next. And I told him that in God's time, it will happen. Meanwhile, we are thinking about it. It will not happen. All I can say is, I won't die now. TB will die, not me. I will live for my family. I will live with my family. I will get the strength to my peers. I will stand and say, I'm a TB survivor. Yes, I am wounded. You can see a person, but you don't know the journey of a person. Never, ever want somebody else's life because you don't know what that person has been through. You may drive a fancy car, live in fancy houses, but deep down, we are wounded. I may be infected, but you are affected because you see my life changing every day and every day and every day. Life is a journey that we make. Life is a journey that one strive for a better tomorrow. Thank you very much.